Sean, how are you?
Good.
See you in person.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm told that he knows what he's talking about in technology in the courtroom by people who work with him. And plus, he's a rock and roller and a bass player. You gotta love that.
Are you still playing the drums?
Yep,
All right.
I have my drums unfortunately put away because Irene was after me. I got a buddy coming over to help me again,
All right.
put them back up. And I had an interesting experience. You know what's next door, Rocky's Pawn Shop? I went over there about 3 years ago and I said, if you get any zildjian symbols in, let me know. Guy called me up 2 weeks later. 22 and 20-inch zildjians, those are like $3,000-$4,000 symbols. I said, I can give you $400 for them. And he said, $450. And I said, so I got some massive new cool symbols. So Rusty's here. You play a precision bass? What kind of bass?
Nothing I do is precision.
What brand is it? Is it?
I have a buddy who's lent me his Diamenico. It's a beautiful hollow body bass. It's really nice.
Hollow one?
Yeah. I didn't think I'd like it, but it's really special.
That would be, which one did Paul McCartney play?
Fenders, he liked him, a lot of different.
He didn't play Fender.
Never?
No.
Rickenbacker?
Rickenbacker, that's right.
The NAMM show just ended yesterday,
Really?
and
That's an unbelievable show.
it used to go through Sunday, but that last day of the show was a great time to score some floor deals.
Anaheim again?
Yes.
I've been to that, and they have every instrument, all the cool stuff. You just drool if you like music.
Yeah.
So Rusty,
Yes, sir.
like to introduce yourself and talk about technology a little bit? I'm gonna go sit in the back of the room here.
Yeah, but now I'm embarrassed that I didn't know the right bass that Paul McCartney played.
Rickenbacker, that's right.
That's the last time I went to Coachella. Probably the closest I'll get to seeing the Beatles. It's pretty amazing. But I digress.
I saw Paul McCartney there in Coachella, dude, really good. With the Firemen, his new band, really good band.
Incredible drummer.
Yeah.
Well, I love talk about music all day, but it is an enormous pleasure to be back here. Thank you, Mr. Dolan, for inviting me back. Awesome looks as good as ever. What a great group that we have here today. Some friendly, familiar faces that I haven't seen in a while. You know the only thing Mr. Soda's not good at? Retirement. I love seeing you court, Mr. Soda, but I swear you told me you're retired. I'm glad that you're here today.
I am.
So,
Very good.
one of the neat things I think about this presentation today is in the midst of it, I formed the opinion that it's also an ethics lecture. And that's going to come up when we start talking about AI. So Mrs. Dolan's going to figure out what you get with the bar, but I think this is going to be as much technology, as much ethics as it is technology. So hopefully that helps out. It certainly helps me out. The PowerPoint here is not fancy and it's not up on the screen, but you have the presentation. This is really just an aid to what I'm about to say. Some lecturers make the handout looks important. I'm going to try and make my comments today important. So I've been in probate now for 2.5 years. I've been with the court for almost 8. Had a lot of different assignments. I've been privileged enough to do this presentation in the past. I want to do it a little bit differently today. I want to start by asking you how, if at all, technology is working for you with your practices in Riverside County. It doesn't have to be Riverside County, but that's of course what I'm most familiar with. This is a safe space. You can't get in trouble for anything you say. I must tell you, I have no juice with the court's IT department or the vendor. But since I'm using it every day and seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly, I'd be more than happy to report back what you might like or dislike or what you think needs fixing. It's been a little less than a year since we rolled out eCourt for criminal, not without problems, not without issues. So any suggestions, any thoughts, any criticisms? Yes.
A couple of points. A lot more Zoom hearings, and I miss out on something. When I can look at the witness in the face and sense, I capture a lot more empathy about what they're doing or thinking. I just make that comment. The other problem, I deal a lot with Santa Barbara Superior Court.
Okay.
that system is plagued with problems. It crashes or there's delays and they're forever trying to fix it, but it's frustrating. And when I have to go down in person to collect things because I can't access online.
Are you talking about when you want to make a court appearance or when you want to file something?
Just
or both?
filing or retrieving.
Okay. We're going to talk about the lack of confrontation or the limits of confrontation on Zoom. We'll get to that because that's increasingly becoming a bigger issue. So thank you. What's your name again, sir?
George.
All right, nice to meet you, George.
Let's have a general comment.
Sure.
Every time we use technology in the courtroom, we have to test it out because there's always a glitch. There's always something that goes wrong. PowerPoint, just hook it up with the damn thing. You don't hook it up and run through it, it's gonna be a problem. And I just watched the other day a closing argument, a district attorney, everything fell apart in the presentation. And
What a shame.
they had to call somebody over and get the tech guy and take a break and all that. And it's just important to check it out before you present it.
Amen. I was making a bad attempt at humor there. I thought you would have liked the poor DA's before you crashed. Okay, any others?
I'm embarrassed to ask the question.
Don't be.
Okay, a few years ago, the National Security Agency, the information I had was real limited and it was casual. I didn't know how to research the NSA and privacy, but my understanding is that every possible conversation has been recorded and stored.
You mean on the telephone, text message?
Like I said, every possible communication.
Okay.
So I kind of shelved that because I thought this is way above my comprehension. But the gist of it was that in terms of national security and privacy, if everything is recorded, and if I have a microphone and a camera on my phone, and if it's possible that it can be activated or hacked, for lack of a better term, I just thought, I'm embarrassed to ask, but is that true? And you seem, because you're dressed in a suit, like you can have the answer for me.
Don't let the clothes fool you. I did tell you though when I was walking by you that I do like the jacket, and that's a true statement. So let me ask you this. I don't know how often you use social media, but as a Dodgers fan, do you mysteriously see Dodgers things pop up on your phone?
Yes,
That
sir.
happens to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it bothers me, but it makes me wonder. It's the off season. I haven't really looked at the baseball lately, so why is that happening? Because it knows something about me, right? At least that's what I think it does. Or if I want to refinance my house, all of a sudden I'm inundated with other suitors that want my business, right? So I don't know. What I will say is that security is a big concern for the courts. I don't know that we take it too seriously or not seriously enough, but it is going to explain another topic that we have. So I apologize. I don't have the answer for you, but I do think a good rule of thumb is always assume you're being recorded, right? Maybe that's the safest approach. In the day and age when cell phones are ubiquitous and recordings and things like that.
Don't
So,
write anything down or say anything on the phone that you don't think you want to have anybody else know about.
amen. But anything else about how technology is or is not working for you in the courts? Yes.
Good morning,
Hi, great to see you again.
likewise. Having to have hearings, sometimes, not too long ago, we had to have a hearing in 3T. And
Okay.
it was for a state hospital. And there were two physicians that were testifying along with the defendant. We had absolutely no ability to see them or who was who. Only the judge had the ability to see, I guess, on her monitor. But everyone else, we were sitting at council table, we had no idea who was speaking.
Okay.
So that was difficult.
All right, I'm sorry to hear that, and I don't want to get anybody in trouble or cast any aspersions. I think the bench officers in 3T are terrific, but those courts do have the capability to at least make the little TVs on the council table such that you can see whatever the judge is seeing. It takes a little bit of investment. It might take IT, but that's what I do. I have one that broadcasts up on the screen for the people in the audience, and then the other folks on Zoom are seeing what's going on. And I insist that people use their videos, even if it's just what some might call a perfunctory appearance. I mean, there you have 2 people that are nowhere near the courthouse and 3 people that are nowhere near the courthouse at the time of the hearing.
Exactly.
So I'll have cases with people in Switzerland, Mexico, other counties, other states, and
Probate?
yes.
Wow.
And a lot of the Riverside area lawyers won't come to the desert, but they'll take the case, or the Orange County people. But I felt it's helped me kind of break into a subject that I never did as a lawyer by seeing people, seeing their offices, you know. I'll know that a guy has a dog, right? I'll know that another guy likes to play guitar. I'll know that another guy has a clean desk or, you know, a view of the street, just little things about another human being that you wouldn't know just with a telephone. So I don't want to interfere too much in that case, but the technology is there. A lot of those courtrooms in Larson are not using it, and you can't force them to use it that I know of. But I think it's something that we should be doing, particularly in a case like that that involves the defendant's liberty. And and even then, how is the sound? Because that's not always something to take for granted.
It started off, there were some issues and then they resolved. So
That's
the sound
good.
was fine.
That's good, because that's not always a given.
Mhm.
If you folks have any Zoom hearings with us, I know on my end, and I think on the user's end, you could turn on closed captioning and also a transcript. And it's really not bad. It almost would make a court reporter scared, because like I had one, like so many of my cases involving a person that may have reached a point in their life where they don't have the capacity to amend their trust or their will, and there were a lot of complicated medical terminology. And I gotta say, I was pretty impressed with the Zoom AI that it was using to transcribe it. Not perfect, but if you have somebody who's hearing impaired, I know the technology is available on our side. I think it's available on the end user side as well. And I try and use it for screen sharing, since we're always looking at like at accountings. Why did you spend the money on this, for instance, or where did this money go? It's for so many people that are appearing remotely, it's really easy to just have it big on the screen. And often there's an obvious explanation that I might be missing. I just need to ask them about that, right? Like, why did you take the conservatee to a $4,000 lunch, for instance? Okay, well, it was the one time a year, that's her birthday, and she wanted her grandchildren there. Okay, now you explain that expense. Otherwise, it might look like the conservator is just trying to get a nice steak dinner on the conservatee's dime. But what about filing things? Are you folks having any trouble just filing things with the court? Because I get those reports a lot, and I believe them. No? Okay, well that's good. I hope that remains. So, for better or for worse, in non-criminal cases, we're making it so that lawyers cannot come to the window and file their own documents, and the lawyer can't, from the comfort of his or her own desk, click a button and file it him or herself. They've got to get a third-party vendor to file it, right, Mr. Nolan?
Yeah, that's true.
Tell me about that.
Fortunately, I don't have to deal with it as much as my assistant does. I'm fortunate to have an assistant that I give my filings to, and I say, hey, get this file. And it can be a pain when we have to go through, we have a service for the firm, and our service isn't local, they're in Riverside.
And they're not part of your firm, right?
Correct, and they're not part of our firm. It's just a service, we use a company called Bosco, and Bosco handles all of our service of the parties, but they also handle all of our filings, and we file throughout the state, and it can be difficult when you're relying on them, and then I have a court appearance, and I don't have a conformed copy, and I'm reaching out to my assistant, hey, did we ever receive confirmation that this was filed? And then they've got to call their manager, and they're like, well, we're not the filer, we have an employee who's the filer, so they have to then reach out to their employee, did you actually go and did you get this filed? And it was, oh, we went to the desk and we filed it, and maybe it was rejected. And we haven't even heard back yet that our filing was rejected for whatever reason. So it can be problematic.
Nights a week on Zoom too.
Well, I know certainly in the probate department of Mr. Nolan's firm, you have some top paralegals, and you probably have non-paralegals that file things. My point is, I personally have no concerns about the people in your staff filing things directly with our court. We don't do that. And my little informal research is finding out that we're not the only ones. We created this cottage industry for third-party vendors that you have to use as a lawyer to get a document filed. Aren't you licensed in Nevada now?
I am.
So what do they do there?
Our firm had to hire another Nevada vendor who handles the filings there. I handle all of the drafting. I make sure we're formatting for Nevada courts and we're following their rules. But then I give it to my assistant, who normally would format everything for me for California. But because it's Nevada, she's not trained in Nevada, I handle all of that. But then she contacts the vendor and they file it. And Nevada's a little bit differently because Nevada, when you file, the court serves all the parties.
Oh, beautiful.
So you file something and then I get an email, an e-service that says this was filed on behalf of this client, and it serves everybody who's with the court. And I was sharing with John just a little different. I made a criminal court appearance in Nevada, and when I walked up to the DA, she was not interested in my name. She was interested in my bar number. What's your bar number? I gave her my bar number. She plugged it into her little laptop, and 30 seconds later, I had an email with all the discovery.
Wow.
And it was sent to the email that I had on file with the state bar.
Man.
And so it's just, you know, from a technology standpoint, they handle things a little bit differently, but it seems like it would be more efficient in my experience.
What about your civil practices? Do the same thing if you file a demur and then it just spits it out to everybody in the list?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I don't have to worry about serving any party in that. I file with the court and the court handles service.
Well, you have to get them served originally.
Originally, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but once the action is in before the court, then there's no service needed.
Well, what if I say I don't use email? Then what? Or POPR?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I honestly don't know exactly how they handle that.
But Mr. Nolan, you're capable of many, many things. I feel very strongly that you would have the ability to prepare your demur and click a button and file it with the Nevada or Clark County Court without having to use 2-3 intermediaries. I would trust you to do that.
Yes, I think I could.
So why do you think we do this? Why are we using you to tell your administrative assistant and then tell an outside vendor who you don't know and probably would struggle to find the actual person that went down to the courthouse? But why do you think we do that?
I'm not sure.
And the answer, we're told, right or wrong, is security. But the other day, I'm uploading something to my insurance company directly, okay, which I have to do frequently. And they don't require me to use a third-party vendor. They don't require me to send it out to someone else and pay them and then send it to the same insurance company. So I don't know if we've kind of elevated security to an exalted level. I just want you to know that I at least am sensitive to what you folks are going through out there in 2026, just to get one piece of paper filed with the clerk's office, whether it's across the street or whether it's in Santa Barbara or whether it's in Las Vegas. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to look for suggestions, and this one is terrific. An email blast, if you will. Of course, you know, lawyers that say, well, I didn't get it, or it went to my spam, or...
I have not heard that.
Awesome.
I have not heard that yet.
Okay. Any others before I move on? Okay. I don't want to, again, downplay the importance of security. Obviously, we have a lot of confidential documents, a lot of important documents, a lot of sensitive documents. But I think security is important with your banks, with your insurance companies, with your healthcare providers, and I don't think a lot of those folks require this third-party end around, but I digress. Okay. Forgive me, Claudia, I forgot your last name. Suarez, thank you very much. She already talked about the problems of using Zoom without video if you're going to have a contested hearing. Now, the reality in my type of case is folks always seem to have a witness or a party or both that does not live near the Palm Springs courthouse and does not want to come to the Palm Springs courthouse. So one side can understandably play hardball saying, no, I want to cross-examine all these witnesses in the courtroom. But the reality is they're probably going to have a witness that they want to call remotely to save costs. So it's rare that I, in probate at least, have to make that tough decision that no, they should be here. I mean, I always start with, you need to come to the courthouse, none of the Zoom business, but inevitably they reach a stipulation amongst each other that it would save, $5,000-$10,000 to have someone appear remotely. And if the audio is good, if the video is good, if the exhibits can be shared, George, it often works. At least people aren't complaining. However, what is lost?
You have to be a psychologist, but respiration rates, heartbeat, is their face flushing, the blood veins pop out, I'm looking for that kind of stuff and it doesn't come across on Zoom.
Who's off camera, right?
What's below them, what they're looking at, what they're looking at to the side, to this side.
Exactly.
I don't like doing anything on Zoom because you can't really see the person. They can coach, they can have notes in front of them that you don't see. You can ask, are you reading anything? Is there something there? No, I'm not reading anything.
No.
And on a technical level, most people may not notice, but oftentimes a home internet connection, non-business, is what they call 10-to-1 ratio. You'll get 100 megabits per second download, but upload will typically be a tenth of that, or 10. If you have a lot of people on Zoom, the upload speeds sometimes aren't there. We discovered this during COVID. Here in India, a lot of the teachers that were trying to Zoom from home kept breaking apart when they had 100 students trying to watch them. So I think we're learning and technology is getting better, but if you're dealing with a remote client and they don't have decent upload speeds, it's just frustrating. You keep blacking out.
Well, I just thought of something just listening to you folks. What if you had a case with multiple lawyers, different levels on one side? Theoretically, one could be in the audience text messaging the witness, right, with the phone underneath them. I'd like to think that you figure that out, but if you're lucky enough to have multiple counsel on one side, I suppose that's a risk at least, right? That's a temptation. But I got to tell you, at least in family, civil, and probate cases, it doesn't seem to be going away. And certainly by about 9:15 or 9:20 every morning, my courtroom's empty, but my Zoom screen is still packed, right? So I was trying to focus on the people that came to court to begin with. I don't want to criticize Zoom too much because the reality is in probate, there's so many notices you have to file. It's not rocket science, it's just a laundry list of things that you're always having to file. And the beauty is I can use Zoom to have them upload to me something on the day of the hearing and maybe grant the petition. Sometimes may not want to do that because they want the examiners to check the case again. Sometimes I might do that, but it's hard to get the newspapers to give you the publication in a probate case in a timely manner, and you're trying to get a hearing done within 45 days. So if they can upload that to me on Zoom and I can print it, I'll often accept it and grant that petition. There's plenty more where that came from. So it's got that advantage in addition to screen sharing, in addition to possible closed captioning, in addition to possible transcripts of what's going on in the hearing. Okay, but how many criminal practitioners are here? None? Mr. Nolan, you do some. Mr. Quinn?
Yeah.
Solo, you say?
Well, just at all. Anyone doing criminal here? Okay, there we go. So you guys don't want to take any shots at E-Court? Come on, this is a safe space. Tell me, how can we make this system better? I know it needs help. I know it needs help.
Well, with the public defender's office, I don't have to file anything personally. I always have my assistant do it for us.
Okay, but how about looking stuff up on it? Sorry.
Looking stuff up on eCourt is not as good as it used to be.
Okay.
Before, you used to be able to just look up the client, and then all the cases would be linked into that client. Now, the hardest thing about eCourt is that you have to, if you look at one case, then you have to click out of that case to click on the other case. Sometimes we have clients with 10 cases, open active cases, and you have to click out of it and go back into it every single time. That's a pain.
Okay, so I thought they created a tab that lists all the cases, but you're saying, okay, great, I have a list, but I have to keep closing and going back to it?
Yes,
Okay,
and then,
and very time consuming, right?
very time consuming.
Okay.
They also, the filings are not timely. So although we filed something, we can get proof that it was filed, the system delays it for whatever reason, so the court will not have it available, even if you, you complied with the 10-day or whatever, they still don't have it. So,
Meaning like you file a motion to suppress, or you try to file a motion to suppress, and then what
Yes.
happens?
and then the court just didn't have it. It's always like, yes, it was filed, we can see in the system that there's something there, but it's still not imaged or it's still not in the system. There's always some sort of delay.
So does it allow you to say, I wanna have a motion to suppress on February 14, or do you have to pick the next existing date? Or what does it allow you to do or not allow you to do?
Normally, it's, we'll agree on a date, and then hopefully, that'll be enough time for the court to have it. Or we can just provide a courtesy copy to the court, since it's already been filed. If we don't want to continue the matter out too far. But
Okay,
it's just the matter that it's been done, and the courts are not seeing it.
so on my end, if I were to open up that case, I wouldn't even see that you tried to file a motion to suppress?
No.
Okay,
At times, you can't.
that's a problem.
And the courts, and the clerks are looking for it, and they're looking in this system, and they're looking over here, and they're like, oh, yeah, we see that there was something, it's not imaged yet.
So you're showing up with witnesses for an evidentiary hearing and it's not even on the calendar?
It's on calendar,
Ah,
it's on calendar, it's just the court doesn't have the necessary paperwork.
I see, I see. And then you're familiar, Mr. Nolan, with the so-called reservation system for trying to get a motion in a civil case, right?
Yes, yes. And, frequently, I'm fortunate, I do have a great assistant who has my calendar, and I ask to file, she just makes sure, that it's set with the court. If the next available is open on my calendar, we just take that.
Okay.
And if it's not, then we'll say, sometimes, this is not a good date, and coordinate that way. But it's, I've heard of issues with, I've observed issues on cases. And I don't want to say I never have issues, because I have, but, for the most part, my assistant makes it seem very smooth.
And you're fortunate in that regard. I'm not here to give you all the answers, I don't have them, but I don't know that we as a court ask these questions enough of you folks that are actually trying to do it every day, right? We're just on the other end, if the motion's there, I read it, if it's not, I'm on to the next case, right? I don't think we get into the nitty-gritty of how this is working. It's just my opinion, but I think in 2026, this should be easier. And so I think the only way to make it easier is to talk to the people that are in the trenches, so to speak, with it. And what's working for civil, it may not be working for criminal, but now we only have one system for all cases, it should be consistent, right? All right, George. The bad news for folks defending restraining orders in family law and elder abuse is now the petitioners can appear remotely. That's a problem. Arguably it's a problem. One of the toughest decisions I make on a daily basis is being asked ex parte to kick somebody out of their house with no opportunity to come to court, with no opportunity to present an opposing side. But the law says I'm not supposed to go home for the day until I've dealt with that request for a temporary restraining order. That's pretty frightening. But that's what the legislature says I'm supposed to do. Now, assume that I don't grant the move-out order, but the petitioner still wants it. Now we come to the hearing, the petitioner is not in court, and the law doesn't say that I know that they have to have video. So I might be making this decision based only on telephone conversation, right? So that's a little frightening, isn't it? But that's the new law as far as family law and elder abuse is concerned. I neglected to research it for civil harassments, but I don't know why the legislature would go a different way. And I can understand why folks would want to make remote access easier. I mean, if you're seeking a restraining order, presumably you're very afraid of the person. But I mean, that's no reason to dispense with the Sixth Amendment criminal case just because you're afraid of the defendant, right?
Are you doing unlawful detainers on those? Are they through probate or something?
No, good question. So on an elder abuse restraining order, just like a domestic violence restraining order, the judge has the power, even ex parte, to issue an order for lack of a better term, kick the respondent out of the residence.
And that's without even seeing the person in person.
Exactly,
Wow.
exactly.
That seems to me that opens up a whole door of, hate to say it, but fraudulent type activity.
My sister was a school teacher here in Indio and was a witness on a case involving custody and parental. But on the video, they're interviewing the student and the father is smoking a joint and got marijuana paraphernalia on the table in front of the child. And I'm thinking, this opens up a whole new door. Was this valid discovery, and does it create a whole new can of worms? It's a
Plain view.
exactly true. But yeah.
That's a new one, I haven't heard that fact there yet. Mr. Quinn, I didn't give you a chance to say something earlier, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to generalize on attorney portals. And sometimes I have trouble, want to get documents, discovery.
You have to pay for them.
Hmm?
They need a credit card and they keep charging you a credit card when you ask for documents.
Okay, just the logistics, I have trouble with it sometimes. And if I want to be in Orange County, I know that's probably a different issue, but I have trouble getting documents even locally here on the attorney portal.
We're talking about the complaint, motion,
Discovery of DA's filings. DA
Correction
will
is
send
a
it to me.
arrest warrant, that kind of stuff.
They say I have to go into the DA's office and they'll give it to me. That just, maybe I'm missing something there.
okay, I thought you meant trying to access it from the court. I mean, like Mr. Dolan said, I suppose anybody could pay to get some of those documents, but not all of them,
Yes.
right?
But the complaint against my client, I said, could you send me a copy? But they won't do that unless I walk in there.
How standardized is Zoom? And are we strictly barred to using it, or are we open to use of Teams or other platforms? And the reason I ask, I had an issue, Burning Man organization in Nevada, working with BLM on some permit issues. BLM, or Burning Man people wrote a 2-page outline of what they wanted to present a topic about. They used a program I never heard of before called Prexy. Prexy is front end loaded with AI, and it produced a 30-page PowerPoint with moving graphics and pictures and a lot of AI generated text. Basically, it did the whole presentation for them, but I was really nervous. What in the hell is it? How much of this is
Brexit?
Prexy, Prexi?
Wow.
Well, that's a good segue to the second half of our discussion on AI.
Yeah.
But before we leave the slide I have here, what I hear from multiple sources is that Orange County really has this fancy exhibit digital loader, if you will, where in all cases, and I have a feeling they may even start doing it for criminal, you need to upload your exhibits before the trial into an electronic database that the judge and the lawyers will be accessing during the trial. Have you heard anything different, Mr. Dolan?
I've not heard of that.
So,
I haven't done a felony deal there in about 10 years.
okay. Yeah, they're kind of leading the pack in technology for their trials and evidentiary hearings. And just a reminder, you folks don't need this reminder, perhaps the younger lawyers, but also lawyers that aren't trying a lot of cases. Particularly with the probate cases, they're just exploding in documents. And I have like binders that fill the clerk's desk, and half the time only 15% of them get used or even marked or referred to. And so particularly if courts are going to move towards requiring that they all be digital, that the majority of them be digital, we've got to get in the habit of scanning all our exhibits, put the page numbers on them, trying to make them shorter, and redacting unimportant or irrelevant information. It's a lot of work, but I mean, when I was starting out, I had this tendency to think I've got to read every single exhibit, and as I get older on the bench, I realized, no, I'm not looking at anything until they give me a good reason to look at it. And it's not fair to my clerk to have to mark 500 exhibits of 5,000 pages. So digital sometimes causes us to make our documents longer. It causes us to take more pictures than we might have in the past. But if we're moving towards an area of only using digital technology to present our exhibits, I think it's important that we try and make it shorter and sweeter and more organized. And it's just kind of a warning that I think If Orange is doing it, we might do it. A lot of other counties in California may do it. And so more work for administrative staff too, Mr. Nolan, as far as uploading these things, but hopefully it's gonna be for a good cause.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get down to the big ticket item, AI. So, just a little probate anecdote. Imagine mom and dad have 4 kids, and mom and dad create a revocable trust to decide where they want their property to go when they pass away. Mom and dad are on board with 3 out of the 4 children, but the 4th one is a source of dissension because he or she struggles to get a job or stay out of jail or stay sober. Let's assume that mom passes away first, and before dad passes away, he decides to amend the trust to disinherit the 4th child, okay? So when dad passes away, what the law says is the new trustee, let's assume it's the oldest child, for instance, has to give notice to all the other siblings in my hypothetical of the trust. And not just of the last version of the trust, but the fact that they generally have 4 months to challenge it. That's a very short statute of limitations, 4 months, right? To bring what we call a trust contest. Of course, there's exceptions to the rule and exceptions to the exception, but that's the basic rule. So, how could you challenge a trust? You could say that when dad amended it, he lacked capacity. Or to put it more simply, unfortunately, he lost his marbles. He didn't know what he was doing, okay? Or there wasn't due execution of the trust. He didn't sign it, he didn't date it, he didn't notarize it. Okay, those clearly are challenges that you have to make within 4 months. But what if the allegation was the oldest son grabbed dad's arm and forced him to sign this new thing, okay? Exhibited undue influence, and something we could call elder abuse, right? At least that's the argument that many petitioners would make. Well, elder abuse has a 4-year statute of limitations, right? Not a 4-month statute of limitations. Well, which one governs? Well, I'm not here to answer the question. I'm here to tell you what technology I have available did when I asked the question, okay? So the first one I use is Westlaw. And you can see in the top are all elder abuse claims subject to the 120-day statute under Probate Code 16061.7. And it pulls up a list of cases. And probably somebody that uses Westlaw more than I do would tell me more efficient ways to find the answer. But it gave me a case that's in the ballpark, and I can look at it, and then it'll hyperlink me to another case. And maybe half hour to an hour later, I feel pretty good about an answer. All right. The next one is Lexis. Brings me to a different case, but in the ballpark, talking about fraud and undue influence and elder abuse, okay. And then interestingly, it gives me a trial court decision, which of course I can't cite because it's not from the Court of Appeal, but it might lead me to where I want to go. But gee, how, for lack of a better word, cool is this? In my phone, I just click the microphone button, recited the very same question, and look what Google gave. How direct was this, right? It's like I'm having a conversation with him. Yes, elder abuse claims tied to a trust can be subject to the 120-day deadline if they involve challenging the trust validity, so on and so forth. Now, does this make it gospel? Can I just cut and paste this, Mr. Quinn?
Not necessarily.
No, not necessarily. Good answer, good answer. What do you mean?
Well, there are other approaches, I guess, rather than just Google or just the 120-day rule.
But this is tempting. I mean, they summarized it, gave me little bullet points, didn't charge me a dime. I didn't have to have a Westlaw subscription or a Lexis subscription. They warned me that it's AI overview. Okay, so that's good. Mr. Quinn, not to pick on you, but see where the first paragraph ends in the word longer period. You see that?
Yes.
Do you know what that little icon is to the right? Looks almost like a paperclip or an infinity symbol or whatever it is. My eyesight's not too good.
No, yes, I do see that.
You know what that is?
I have one contact in, so I can't see.
Okay, so what it is, it's supposed to be a hyperlink to where on the internet AI got that information. And it could be the ABC LLP law firm, right? Or it could be a legal document assistant in Nevada. And so it's just kind of, go look here, go check this part of the haystack, right?
Right.
But it's helpful in that it will hopefully help us verify what it's saying here. I mean, this is a pretty good statement of the law. Is it perfect? No, but it was certainly a lot more straightforward and quick than doing a Westlaw or Lexis search. And again, I know there are people that can use those search engines better than I can, but you can't beat the price. You didn't have to pay anything for this information,
Yes,
right? So time is money and money is time. So how are people getting into trouble, if at all, for using AI in the law?
Not checking the source.
Not checking it.
Okay, Mr. Nolan answered first, so say that a little louder, Mr. Nolan, please.
They're not clicking that little link and they're not checking the source
Okay,
to verify the information.
are there even some, well, they use the word hallucination. Have you heard this term, AI hallucination?
I have not, no.
Okay.
What happened to me last year?
What happened?
We filed a motion in Department PS2. It was a pro per defendant who filed a response to our opposition to our motion, and it cited the case, including the case citation. We looked at the case citation, there was no such case. It was a situation where whatever AI source he used hallucinated or came up with a case because the request was so precatory that AI decided it wanted to satisfy the inquirer, and it made up a case.
That seems to be the popular term on the internet now, is that's an AI hallucinated quote, for instance. So you caught it.
Caught it.
And then what
Only
you do?
because we researched it to read the case, because it seemed to be on point against us.
So did the case exist and it was
No.
misquoted?
No, the title of the case existed, but it was an entirely different case with an entirely different case number.
Okay, so that's takes even more work to unravel.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes what we're finding is AI, for whatever reason, and there's various versions of it, is coming up with a hallucinated case site, a case site that doesn't even exist.
We couldn't find it on the computer, so we went to the law library, went to the hardbound copies, and it wasn't there. So we felt better.
I don't think it's hallucination. AI by its nature wants to please the user, so it's manufacturing fiction basically to satisfy. And you read about chat discussions without guardrails going astray of young kids. And now on your desktop, Google offers Google Scholar, which I found to be a bit more robust and less imaginative in rewarding what he thinks the user wants.
You want to tell everybody about that? You want to tell people more about Google Scholar?
Yeah, Google Scholar is like a scientific version of Google, and I use it for engineering. I found normal Google engineering topics, it was good at citing facts and history, but in making conclusion, it was totally off the map. Can't use the data. So, whereas Google Scholar seemed to back up and use reference previous sources and previous outcomes from other subjects. So,
Like it might cite a law review article, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Or a scientific journal.
mhm.
But still, it's really just a clue to doing your own research and finding the data you're looking for, right?
Yeah, I think, well, I tell my kids, you need to create your own convictions, and the only way you can do that is to read a lot of news from different sources, synthesize, and come up with your own beliefs. Don't pair it with the last talk show host or what the Google AI model told you.
I don't disagree with you that hallucination is a strange word, but that's what they're saying.
That's what
That's called, is these hallucinated case sites. I'll get you a second. Mr. Soda, in preparing for today, one of the articles I read said, quote, "The biggest monetary damages are coming because opposing counsel have figured out they can ask to be compensated for the time they spend contesting an AI-tainted motion, now that there's precedent for reimbursing fees." So bill for it. But of course, it takes away from your other clients, right? It takes away from what you could be doing for this client, trying to figure out if there's a hallucination or worse yet, just an outright deception. Right?
The problem in this case was that it was a pro per who didn't have the money to hire a lawyer. So we wouldn't get the money.
True.
Now they really don't have any money, huh?
Yes, Ms. Swanton.
Just a question. So, so we know that AI, whether it's Grok or whichever one you prefer, goes into the internet and it just does a quick search of everything that's ever been put on there, right? And that's how it gathers the information, spits it out to you. So.
Well, that's what I believe,
Well, I mean, that's what I believe too. So my question is, are like Westlaw and LexisNexis, all of those, businesses, I guess, databases, are they, protecting themselves from allowing AI to go into their systems and gathering the information that they've compiled?
I believe so. I've never seen AI bring up a citation from, well, I don't know, if you look up code sections sometimes, like you just want a code section, Westlaw does publish code sections, hoping that you'll then click there.
Yes.
And then look for annotations, and then hopefully pay for the annotation. Just like a lot, JUSTIA publishes Court of Appeal decisions, and is kind of at the top of the search list. So, I mean, I think for them to make money, yeah, they keep a lot of their work away from the internet. But I think the algorithms that like Google uses, not just Google, but a lot of the AI functions to find data that fast, I think they've got to be chasing that same technology. Because, again, there's no science to what I did here. I just typed in the question that I wanted answered on Westlaw, and it gave me something, right? But it's going to be an hour research project, maybe more. And it might still be just as long with Google AI. It just seems to be a more straightforward answer to my question.
Remember, we used to have all the bricks and the shepherds on the table and a table that long just to try and check it out.
Well, that's why you should bill for that, Mr. Sodi. You had to go to a book, an actual book, and open it.
I want to mention, Microsoft came out with Copilot, and I asked Microsoft in Outlook, help me compose an email that covers this. It's amazing because it went through 10 years of prior emails I had written and received from people.
Wow.
And cited previous correspondence I had completely forgotten about, and brought it back and produced it in an email format. And it made me sound really smart because I was calling same discussions I had 7 years ago. It's kind of frightening and begs the question, how do I check all of this?
Yeah, I'm not here to be a cheerleader for or against AI, but again, since this is partially an ethics lawyer, let's get into some sad topics. Let's go to the next page. This is one of the more recent articles I've seen, at least in the Met News, about a lawyer getting sanctioned for using AI and not checking his or her sources. Okay, so the Second District Court of Appeal recently sanctioned a lawyer $7,500. That, of course, would also be reportable to the state bar. That same panel recently sanctioned another attorney $5,000. Apparently, the $5,000 was less than $7,500 because that attorney was more apologetic and
Sorry about that.
right, explain the situation. So this is a quote on the next page from one of the first Court of Appeal decisions in California that addressed AI in a brief. Although the generation of fake legal authority by AI has been widely commented on, no California court had yet addressed it. Simply stated, no brief, pleading, motion, or other paper filed in any court should contain any citation, whether provided by generative AI or any other source, that the attorney responsible for submitting the pleading has not personally read and verified. We all know this, but let's again just read it together. Because plaintiff's counsel violated a basic duty counsel owed to the client of the court, we impose a monetary sanction. Direct him to serve a copy of this opinion on the client, and direct the clerk to serve a copy of the state bar. Wow, this is serious, right?
Yeah, can I make a comment?
Sure.
I think that penalty is way too low.
Okay.
I think it's fucking outrageous. I'm a transactional lawyer, I don't do litigation. I think it's outrageous that any lawyer practicing in the state of California can do that, and that the penalty should be way more severe. It should be so punitive that no one would even think of doing that. That's my view.
I don't necessarily disagree, but you as a transactional lawyer often have mountains of documents to get through, right? Maybe I'm exaggerating.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't have mountains of documents.
You don't?
I review contracts and I negotiate contracts. I use LexisNexis to research case law when I need to. But no, I mean, that's why I haven't litigated in 30 years. It's just that when I was a litigator, I used Lexis that says to research the law, pull up the case, read it, like, oh, okay, this supports my argument, and I'll put that in my brief. The thought of using AI, okay, and putting in a brief, a case citation that I actually didn't go and read to confirm that, number one, it actually exists, which I think is insane. Number two, that it actually supports the argument that I'm making. I just can't believe a lawyer would actually do that. And if they get caught doing it, a fine. I just don't get it.
Wonder how much they charge their client for writing this stuff.
So I have a lot of respect for transactional attorneys, and I had wrongly assumed that you might have very voluminous documents that you have to review just to draft the contract, right, or to find the reason to modify it. Every time I open up my Adobe Acrobat program, which I don't do intentionally, it's when I want to look at a document, the computer opens it, right? Whether it's a 1,000-page transcript or a 5-page notice, what's the thing that pops up on the bottom? And I can't figure out how to get rid of it. You know what it says? It says, use AI to give a summary of this. Gee, do I want to read a 1,000-page transcript, or would I like to see what the computer highlights for me? I haven't used it yet. But every time I open it, there it is, Judge. Don't you want to try it? Don't you want to save yourself 3 hours? Right? Well, I'm very lucky on this job for a lot of reasons. I mean, if I'm out there hanging out my shingle, hustling cases, trying to make a living, you know, trying to do the work that each client needs, I mean, you're absolutely right. This shouldn't happen. Do I see the temptation? Absolutely. Absolutely. Does that make it right? No. But I think it's a problem that's going to be here for a while, and you're right. Maybe it's only monetary sanctions that are going to stop it. But at the same time, maybe the AI is going to get so good, George, that it won't just summarize your own email boxes and communications you've had over 25 years, but it might even be better than a law professor. I don't know. Probably not. Probably not.
AI to disregard all the phony case.
Sorry, sir.
It's not even a maybe, especially when you get to general artificial intelligence.
So what do you teach me about that, please?
Well, it's going to be about, you're not going to be able to tell the difference between AI and human speak. It's going to be, I mean, now you look at an AI generated document, and really it's kind of obvious if you have the level of awareness in AI, it's AI generated, but ultimately, sooner than later, much sooner than later, you won't be able to tell the difference.
You want to give us some clues to maybe spotting the hallmarks of an AI generated?
Just syntax, language, how paragraphs are structured, how language is used. It's kind of there, but not quite there. Maybe at some point there'll be some kind of requirement that AI-generated docs have some kind of recognizable watermark to them, so people will know it's being generated by AI.
How many robocalls are made by AI voices that you can't tell the difference?
For sure.
Can't you just direct AI not to use phony cases or something?
What's that?
Can't you just direct AI not to use phony cases?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I'll tell you what, Mr. Blunt, it's kind of frightening. As a young prosecutor, I would have scoffed at any assertion, oh, this document is doctored, or this is a fake photograph. And I'm afraid they could make fake surveillance videos showing clients at the scene of the crime these days. And,
Yeah.
How many times has Cliff Notes let me down in college because it was too general, and a good judge pins you down on a footnote that the Cliff Notes didn't reveal? It might turn on that.
You know, we've been talking about yesterday about legislation and state bar rules, trying to regulate conduct of lawyers and make them adhere to the straight and narrow and do what's right and do what's ethical. AI just gives it. Oh, we were talking about. Rod was talking about the word zealous representation has been removed from the description of lawyers' obligations. AI gives those lawyers, and unfortunately probably a whole new generation of lawyers, the opportunity to not go straight and narrow and submit pleadings with wrong citations. Not every court, not every opposing counsel is going to catch it.
Donald, do you think you have a duty if you find it to snitch them off and tell the judge that it's AI?
What's that?
Do you have a duty to tell the judge this is AI material, it's not valid?
Well, in a perfect world, yeah, you absolutely should.
What have you done with,
Because-
are you sanctioned for that?
Well, because you're representing, if you're submitting a document that's been prepared by AI and you're representing it to be your own,
Right.
and the judge sees a non-citation or a bad citation, rightly so should be sanctioned. So if you're gonna submit document because, like you said, you don't have the time to do whatever, and AI allows you to increase your productivity, that's fine. But you submit it, you make that implicit representation that it's true and correct. So yes, there should be a representation.
How many cases go to a master's court and it's something very technical, engineering intensive and complicated, and you discover the judge is using AI to help figure this
Well,
out?
that's what I'm saying, it's staring me in the face every day and I'm resisting the temptation, but,
We used to have the problem with quoting the dissents. I remember in college debate, people would make up sources, like 200 articles, and you'd say, well, where'd that come from? They just make it up. People do that.
in the next quote I have from this Court of Appeal decision, it seems to suggest that the courts are only expecting self-represented folks to use AI. We recognize that AI can be a helpful resource for self-represented litigants attempting to present their arguments. But AI tools can just as easily produce flawed arguments. We reiterate the rule that all litigants who appear before the court, whether or not represented by counsel, have an obligation to confirm that the case citations are citable, published opinions. So by the end of that paragraph, it seems to say it applies to everyone, brokers and lawyers. So another thing I saw, I didn't screenshot the researcher, but there's a researcher who's keeping track of how many cases have been published dealing with AI citations. Quote, since 2023, when the first fake citations come to light, courts around the world have written over 700 decisions about AI hallucinated content, with 90% of those decisions being issued in 2025 alone.
Is that slide in this presentation?
No, it's something I pulled up from the Daily Journal, but I can make these available to.
Yeah, that's okay. This is, what's in here is already enough from an LinkedIn article, so thank you.
Sure. Here, I ran into a paywall in doing my research, but I think the titles say it all. Chat GPT terms, at least their contractual terms, act as liability shield for doling out poor legal advice. Well, I'm sure that's their position. It's probably the position courts will take, but I hadn't thought about that, suing the AI company when the hallucinated sources get you sanctioned. Next, judges admit to using AI after made-up rulings called out. AI-powered law firms test the bounds of legal work by robots. AI fake citations expose lawyer sloppiness and training gaps. Fake chat GPT cases cost lawyers $5,000 plus embarrassment. I don't really have enough time to talk about this last slide. It's really more ethics than anything. It's a case where I found a $25,000 sanction on this attorney. It doesn't involve AI, it involves what the Court of Appeal felt was a frivolous appeal. And it goes on a well-written diatribe about the importance of lawyers not impugning the integrity of the justice system and not making assertions in court that lack factual support, regardless of how much the lawyer or the client earnestly believes them. This generated from a challenge to a judge under 170.1, which the judge struck, in which an appeal was taken, and the Court of Appeal not only rejected the appeal, but sanctioned the lawyer. I don't know that I question the decision, but it makes me a little bit nervous. If lawyers only ever brought cases that were slam dunks, I don't think we'd have a lot of the constitutional rights that we have in our country. So, like you said, sanctions need to be used. They need to be used to regulate the conduct of the bar. How our profession is held, or the esteem that it has in society, is very important. But I get a little nervous that as these sanctions go up, if some lawyers are getting gun shy to bring cases that, even against all odds, might just change things in society for the better. I don't know. Something to think about.
We'll bring the case the old-fashioned way.
True. No, I'm like most law professors, I'm here to ask questions, not give answers. But I'm gonna bookend this with music, Mr. Dolan. Unfortunately, a friend of mine I sometimes play bass with succumbed to cancer last year after a long battle. And while I'm not any good at it, I keep writing songs. Just can't help myself. I keep doing it.
You're talking to Cameron.
So I decided, I took a shot at writing a song about him, and the lyrics came pretty easily. One, he was a great guy. Two, he was in the Coast Guard, so I had, themes of sailing. Sure, and my captain and things of that nature. But the point of the story is, I thought it turned out okay. The widow liked it, but my friend that I played a lot of music with took the lyrics and put it into AI. Sono.com, I think it is. I decided to quit songwriting because it was unbelievable what it did. The voice, I could never sing like the person.
So yeah,
It's not a person. You would think it's a person singing. Maybe it's a person's voice spliced. I have no idea. All I know is I could spend $10,000. I couldn't get that quality sound recording in a studio for $8. It took lyrics, and I forget who was talking about the syntax of it. It somehow figured out how to space out the words that I'd written in conjunction with the music, right? Again, I take no credit for it because it says, don't tell me you want to sound like the Beatles or like Neil Young. Say that you want it to sound like country, or say that you want it to be a ballad, or say that you want it to be a rock song, whatever. So, because it doesn't want to get sued for copyright infringement for getting too close to actual musicians. But it is unbelievable what it can do. I think there's some songs in the top 40 that were done by AI, and you wouldn't even know as you're listening to elevator music. So what I'm trying to say is, do I think AI is going to get better for the law? I do. Do we still have to be real?
Are you gonna play it?
I can. I'll send it to you. And again, I don't deserve any credit for it, but
Can you play it now?
sure.
Let me clarify what the attack I made on AI.
Wasn't an attack.
Yeah, I have no doubt that probably before I reach the age of retirement, I will be replaced by AI because I'm already being challenged, as I was mentioning yesterday. So what I do is, I'm nationally known D&O insurance law expert. I can take any D&O policy sold in the country and say, here are the 20 or 30 things wrong with it based on wordings that exist in the market or wordings that I've created in the last 35 years. I have no doubt that before I retire, a computer program will be able to do what I do at my level. This is not a question of if, it's when, okay? Now, people are telling me I should actually, link up with an AI company to be quality control and this, that, and the other, and get stock options, and that's my monetization event when I retire. And I've already started talking to AI companies. Like, Mike, we're not there yet, but we will be there, okay? That was all I'm saying, is that right now, the people I'm seeing using programs to try to say, well, I have a program that can do what you can do. I laugh because the output is so wrong. But it's going to get to the point where, like, oops, this output is me. That's all I'm saying. It's just we're not there yet.
I don't disagree with anything you had to say.
And then to hear what you just said about music, that's very depressing to me because my son is in music school. I'm thinking, what he's learning could be just done by an AI program. How's he gonna get a job? But that's why I'm gonna hear this song. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I think if you could take the greatest musicians and put them on the radio.
I mean, it's very formulaic, but
So you just gave it your words.
I mean the editing.
That's an AI voice.
That's what the ad was.
Captain Jeff, you're the proof of that fact.
It's not like the drums are too loud. It's not like the voice is too down the mix. It's just right where it needs to be. It's crazy.
Yikes.
What? All you gave him was the words?
Well, make it country, make it a ballad, make it.
Yes, what the style?
I'll give you the chorus and say, hey, it's red top 40 radio. So I don't know if this can happen, then I think they'll figure out the law.
Yeah. Wow.
Like they're saying that movie producers won't need to get original score music anymore.
Wow.
I gotta add to that. Years ago, Bob Morgan and Raymond Kurzweil flew me back to Boston.
Sorry.
I have perfect pitch and it's a curse if you live with that, but we hired each and every
See,
one.
I'm jealous, perfect pitch.
We hired each and every one of the Boston Pop Symphony Orchestra members, one at a time.
Wow.
Paid them union scale, put them in a recording booth. Okay, violin, play an A, play it hard, play it soft. Okay, now A sharp. Up and down the scale with all the instruments. Massive amount of money. A year later, Kurzweil came out with full orchestra wrong chip, digitally sampled, and they could reproduce. Overnight, these guys didn't know they were selling their soul. Overnight, that put a jillion Hollywood sound musicians out of business because screenwriters now can synthesize the songs. About 10 years ago, Raymond Kurzweil contacted me again and said, we need to develop typical song motifs, 2-5-1 or whatever pattern, and the computers are now going to generate orchestra, not just sounds, but the actual songs, which led right into what you're doing.
I think, and again, maybe we get a little off topic, but not too much. We have enough exemplars of Paul McCartney's voice, apropos, that if I wrote a song, I said, this is what I want Paul McCartney to sing, I'm sure a computer could do it. It would probably violate copyright, but technologically, I think it's there.
Yeah.
Which brings me back to how you started. I think you're right. Everything you say and do is recorded.
I believe it.
I think I gotta delete some old emails of mine.
Even with that belief, I still let go.
Some places you
I
don't
hate
have
to
to
be
be against the same place.
constrained or feel constrained.
Cameron, you got something else?
Yeah, those words and the melody were from your heart. You start there, and then AI or whatever can certainly change it, generate it and all, but it starts with you.
Well, I appreciate that. Have you folks ever heard Cameron Quinn's music?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's terrific, terrific. So,
Now, intellectual property right, who owns the copyright on that song?
so good question. The $8 gets the license, and then my friend is able to, put it on Spotify and things. But yeah, there's a long license of what you can and can't do with it. So, but I don't know. Whether we like it or not, folks, it's taken over. I think that's kind of the conclusion we reached. And so there are ethical challenges, there are technological challenges, and so hopefully he gets an MCLE credit for both. Great to be here.
I don't think you met my friend Mike Rayburn. He does that live. He'll take a country song and make it a rap song, or he'll take a rap song and make it country.
Who's that incredible guitar player you know?
That's Mike Rayburn.
I saw him play at your
Yeah.
he's unbelievable.
He's unbelievable.
What's he up to?
He's living in Tahoe. He goes at a cold plunge every day. He calls me and tells me about it. He's a good man. I'm gonna get him down again too.
What do you have next?
We have nothing. We got the Rams at 3:00.
This morning, I'm told that AI predicts that this will be the best football game in 47 years.
What's the Rams game?
Rams.
The last two games were great, but that's where I think AI, no. It could be a terrific game, or it could be a lousy game, or it could be a blowout, or Lord knows what. So, sports predictions, I don't know.
Just give you an evaluation, you have to turn that in, she'll give you your letter of completion. I don't think.
Thank you.
The top one. Oh, just the top one. I think the next one is the self-study. Oh, for this. Don't quote me on that.
Well, it's probably 2-page. It includes all of the credits.
Well, this is the, just.
Did you say?
No. It's the probably just for our records, but don't quote me.
I'm gonna quote you.
I'm just guessing.
I gotta record it.
Yeah, I'm disavowing right to your face.
Yeah, Rocky should get some.
I'm qualifying.
His song? Oh, and Van Morrison?
Because
Oh.
on that.
You know what you do?
You know, they switch from
If you go to the AI,
accounts that earn.
just name the name of the horse, the song, the whole.
There's 401k account.
That's what I use.
AI.